Hey, what's going on, everyone? Hope we're doing great today. Happy Saturday. We got a lot of matchups on the board to cover. Going to be a great day of football. So be sure to like and subscribe. Check out all my betting links in the description below to get in on the action today. And go to become a member, guys. Support the channel. Love to have you guys be a part of the community. And go ahead and sign up with BroThrow, guys. BroThrow is a great sponsor of the channel. Sign up for free. It's not a sports book. It's a great community to play with, to bet against your friends, and to bet against anybody. No house, cheaper lines than any sports book. So you're going to save a lot of money, guys, if you're doing single bets. And go ahead and join my private betting group. Going to be posting a college teaser today, guys. We're 7-2 on teasers that I posted on BroThrow. We're doing very good. Hopefully we get another one today. So I will post a teaser before kickoff of the games, probably like an hour before, somewhere around 11. I'll post that up in there. So go ahead and check that out, guys. And yeah, we'll hop in it here. A lot of good matchups on the board. Going to be a great day, starting with Kentucky versus Ole Miss. Ole Miss opening up as a 6.5 point home favorite with the over-under at 54.5. Kentucky coming into this 4-0, 3-1 covering the spread. Ole Miss 4-0, 2-2 covering the spread. All time, Kentucky is 4-0, 3-1 covering the spread head-to-head wise. So you like to see that. Kentucky getting Rodriguez Jr. back, served a suspension, so he's good to go. Don't see any injuries for Mississippi. Jalen Robinson, their wide receiver, is questionable. Kentucky coming off a 31-23 win over NIU. They look very good so far this season. Ole Miss coming off a 35-27 win against Tulsa. Kentucky 5-1-1 covering in their last 7. Ole Miss 10-0 at home. This is going to be a great SEC battle here. Absolute great SEC battle. I just look at this line, man. I just don't see why Kentucky's 6.5 point underdogs here. I'd say they're more of a complete team. Both teams are playing very good here, undefeated. It's going to be an SEC clash here, but I got to take Kentucky plus 6.5 on the road. I'm going to buy a point. It's going to be that kind of game. Get Kentucky plus a touchdown and a half here. And yeah, we'll take Kentucky's plus 7.5 on the road. Going to be a great one. Next matchup, we got Michigan versus Iowa. Michigan opening up as a 10.5 point road favorite with the over-under at 42. Michigan coming into this 4-0, 2-2 covering the spread. Iowa 3-1, 2-2 covering the spread. Head-to-head, it's split down the middle. Both teams 5-5. Michigan is 7-3 covering in those head-to-head battles. Michigan coming off that 34-27 win against Maryland. Iowa coming off that 27-10 win against Rutgers. Michigan, they have struggled on the road against Iowa. 1-5 on the road against Iowa, but they are 4-1 covering against Iowa here. Look, I'm not concerned with Michigan. Michigan's got the defense. They got the offense. They're going to ground and pound. The only question, which you got to have a concern with, is the Iowa offense, which has just been... It's been very bad. They're coming off back-to-back 27-point games, though. But if you saw last year, Michigan beat them 42-3. How are they going to score against good teams? You saw them lose to Iowa State. That loss to Iowa State, which pretty good Iowa State team. They really could not put up the offense here. I like Michigan on the road. Give me Michigan minus 10.5. I just think the offensive defense in Michigan is going to be too much for Iowa here, so we'll take Michigan on the road. Next matchup, we got the classic. We got a classic game here. We got Navy versus Air Force. Air Force opening up as a 14-point home favorite with the over-under at 38.5. Navy coming into this 1-2, 1-2 covering the spread. Air Force 3-1, 3-1 covering the spread. Very good Air Force team to start the season. Navy coming off that 23-21 against Eastern Carolina. Air Force coming off a 48-21 against Nevada. This team can score. Air Force, 3 of their last 4, they've putting up all of their wins so far this season. They've putting up 40 plus points here, so they can definitely put points on the board. Navy just 1-5 covering against Air Force, 1-6 on the road against Air Force. Yeah, I love an Air Force this game. Yeah, I'm taking Air Force minus 13.5 at home. Yeah, it's definitely for a money. Definitely love Air Force as a money line option here. I just think they're way better than Navy. Navy, not a good start to the season here. And that over 38.5, it's pretty low. You want to take a shot on over-unders. You know what kind of game it's going to be. I kind of like the over in this matchup. I think Air Force can get the points to, to get pretty close to that over. I'm going to take Air Force at home. Next matchup, we got Oklahoma versus TCU. Oklahoma opening up as a 5.5 point road favorite with the over-under at 69.5. Oklahoma coming into this 3-1, 2-2 covering the spread. TCU coming into this 3-0, 3-0 covering the spread. Undefeated TCU here. Oklahoma coming off that bad loss last week against Kansas State, 41-34. TCU coming off a 42-34 win over SMU. Nice win for them. Oklahoma 8-0 against TCU, where they've been very good here. And TCU just 1-5 at home against Oklahoma. I think it's a great Oklahoma bounce back week following that bad loss against Kansas State. I wouldn't say it was a bad loss, but I mean, they did lose a tough matchup there. And yeah, I think Oklahoma's got to bounce back this week big time. And I think they do here against TCU. Give me Oklahoma minus 5.5 money line on the road. Next matchup, we got Purdue against undefeated Minnesota. Minnesota opening up as 11.5 point home favorites with the over-under at 52. Purdue coming into this 2-2, 1-3 covering the spread. Minnesota 4-0, 4-0 covering the spread so far this season. Purdue coming off a 28-26 win over FAU. Purdue's quarterback Aiden O'Connell is questionable in this matchup, so we'll see if he does play. Missing one of their receivers, Brock Thompson. Missing some linemen and running backs. There's some key pieces missing for this Purdue team today. Yeah, Minnesota has looked very good. Beating Michigan State 34-7. I mean, really great start to the season for Minnesota. Offense playing great, defense playing great. Purdue 0-6 on the road against Minnesota. Minnesota's going to run the ball and play good defense. I think they get it done here against Purdue. Yeah, be Minnesota minus 11.5. Throw them in your money line parlays. I like them to be 5-0 here. Next matchup, we got Texas Tech versus Kansas State. Kansas State opening up as a 7.5 point home favorite with the over-under at 56.5. Texas Tech coming into this 3-1, 2-2 covering the spread. Kansas State 3-1, 3-1 covering the spread. Texas Tech coming off that 37-34 win over Texas. Big win for them. Last year, Kansas State did beat Texas Tech by 1 point, so I feel like it's going to be another battle here. I think Kansas State coming off that huge Oklahoma win. Big upset for Kansas State. And, Texas Tech 0-6 against Kansas State. 0-5 on the road against Kansas State here. Yeah, the numbers aren't going to back Texas Tech up here on the road. I'll tell you what. I've been looking at this line all week. I like Texas Tech plus 7.5. I think it's a great line. Coming off a nice Texas win last week. Both teams coming off good wins last week. And, man, I just think it's going to be a close one here. I think Texas Tech getting good underdog money here in a very winnable matchup. It was only a 1 point game last season. You know this is going to be a nice battle here. Give me Texas Tech plus 7.5 on the road. Next matchup, we got Oregon State versus Utah. Utah opening up as a 10.5 point home favorite with the over-under at 54.5. Oregon State coming into this 3-1, 4-0 covering the spread. Utah 3-1, 3-1 covering the spread. Oregon State coming off that 3-point loss against USC. There's one thing I've seen, man. I watched that USC game against Oregon State. Oregon State's good. This is a very good Oregon State team. They're really good on offense and very good on defense here. And we know how good Utah is on a 3-game winning streak, beating Arizona State 34-13. Oregon State 4-1 covering against Utah here. Look, 10.5 points. I think it's a great line for Oregon State. Both teams are going to play good defense. It's going to be a defensive battle. As much as I like Utah, man, Oregon State, from what I saw last week, they really impressed me. And I think I'm going to take Oregon State plus 10.5 on the road. Next matchup, we got Bama versus Arkansas. Bama opening up as a 17-point road favorite with the over-under at 61. Bama coming into this 4-0, 3-1 covering the spread. Arkansas 3-1, 2-2 covering the spread. Yeah, I mean, the last 4 head-to-head, Bama is 4-0, 3-1 covering the spread. Trust me, I mean, look, you know, Arkansas is my team. I'm a big Arkansas guy. Arkansas coming off that bad loss last week against A&M, a game they could have won. They could have won for sure. We got Bama coming off that 55-3 win against Vandy. And yeah, look, Bama hasn't played anybody like Arkansas. Arkansas is definitely the toughest team that Bama's will play so far. And Bam 7-0 on the road against Arkansas. 10-0 straight up against Arkansas. Arkansas just hasn't beat them in such a long time. Trust me, I would 100% love to be wrong on this pick, but just for the sake of history and just how unlucky Arkansas has been against Bama, I got to take Bama minus 17. Throw them in your moneyline parlays on the road. And trust me, I would love nothing more than Arkansas to pull the upset at home. And even with the spread, I've looked the last few matchups, man. They've gotten murdered against Bama. It's been very tough here. And yeah, as much as I'd love the favoritism of the upset, got to take Bama on the road in this one. Next matchup, we got Iowa State versus Kansas. Iowa State opening up as a 3.5-point road favorite with the over-under at 58.5. Iowa State coming into this 3-1, 2-2 covering the spread. Kansas 4-0, 4-0 covering this spread. This is a very good and surprising Kansas team so far this season. They're playing very good. Iowa State on a 7-game winning streak against Kansas, 4-2 covering against Kansas. Iowa State coming off that 7-point loss against Baylor. And Kansas coming off that Duke win. Very good start to the season for Kansas. Yeah, I know Iowa State's been the much better head-to-head team, but this is a much different Kansas team. Kansas has been pretty bad for several years. And Kansas, man, they got some life this year. They look very good. And I think I'm going to take Kansas plus 3.5 at home. I just love what I've seen from them. Iowa State coming off that Baylor loss. I think it's a great spot for Kansas at home to continue this win streak. Give me Kansas plus 3.5. Next matchup, we got Northwestern versus Penn State. Penn State opening up as a 25-point home favorite with the over-under at 50.5. We got Northwestern coming into this 1-3, 1-3 covering the spread. Penn State 4-0, 3-1 covering the spread. Penn State, I mean, yeah, 4-0 right now. Great start to the season for Penn State. Northwestern 0-6 covering 0-6 covering on the road. Not a good road team. 2-6 covering against Penn State. Haven't really beat Penn State on a 3-game losing streak here. Penn State coming off a nice Central Michigan win. Yeah, I like Penn State minus 25. Throw them in your moneyline parlays if it's possible, but they should be able to beat up on this Northwestern team at home. Next matchup, got a great one here. We got Oklahoma State versus Baylor. Baylor opening up as a 2.5-point home favorite with the over-under at 55.5. Oklahoma State coming into this 3-0, 2-1 covering the spread. Baylor 3-1, 3-1 covering the spread here. Yeah, going to be an absolute showdown here. Very excited for this matchup. Oklahoma State coming off 63-7 win against Arkansas Pine Bluff. Last year, these teams did play. Oklahoma State did lose that matchup 21-16. That was definitely a tough game. I remember that one. Baylor coming off a 31-24 win against Iowa State. And yeah, really like an Oklahoma State. I mean, both teams are very good here. This is a huge battle. You get a top 10 type showdown here. And I'm buying the point. I'm taking Oklahoma State plus 3.5 on the road. I just think it's going to be a field goal kind of game here, like a one-score kind of game. And I just like Oklahoma State. I like these underdogs, these really good underdog teams giving points on the road. It's kind of a thing I love doing, and I just think it's good value for Oklahoma State here. So I'm going to take Oklahoma State plus 3.5 on the road. Next matchup, we got Rutgers versus Ohio State. Ohio State opening up as a 39-point home favorite with the over-under at 58. Rutgers coming into this 3-1, 2-2 covering the spread. Ohio State 4-0, 2-2 covering the spread. Head-to-head wise, Ohio State is 8-0, 6-2 covering the spread in those matchups. Rutgers coming off that 27-10 win against Iowa. I'm sorry, coming off a 27-10 loss against Iowa. Definitely struggled in that matchup there. Ohio State coming off that 52-21 win over Wisconsin. Huge win for Ohio State. Yeah, no Jackson Smith and Jigba is out for this matchup here. And we've seen they struggled a bit on offense without him. Yeah, not in love with, I definitely like Ohio State at home. But yeah, this matchup hasn't been the greatest. Or, this matchup, 40 points, a lot to give up. I do like Ohio State to win pretty comfortably. But Rutgers playing pretty good football here. And I think I'm going to take a shot with Rutgers plus 39 on the road. It's just tough to pick these big favorites to win by 40 plus, man. It really is. If Rutgers can just get two good scoring drives, man, I think they get the cover. So if it's possible, maybe throw Ohio State in some money line parlays. I don't know if it's even possible, but I think I'm going to take a shot with Rutgers plus 39. Next matchup, got a great one here. We got Wake Forest versus Florida State. Florida State opening up as a 6.5-point home favorite with the over-under at 66. We got Wake Forest coming into this 3-1, 3-1 covering the spread. Florida State 4-0, 3-1 covering the spread. Yeah, going to be a battle here. Wake Forest coming off that tough Clemson loss in overtime, 51-45. FSU coming off a 44-14 win against BC. Yeah, Florida State, great start to the season. This is going to be their toughest test so far against a very good Wake Forest team, a team that just has a really elite offense, is going to put up a lot of points. And we're going to see if Florida State can match that here. Good start for Florida State here. They've been good against Wake Forest. 5-0 at home against Florida State, or against Wake Forest here. I'm buying the point, guys. I like Wake Forest plus 7.5 on the road. I think it's a great spot for Wake Forest coming off that Clemson loss here. Florida State, man, they got to watch out. This is a very good Wake Forest team. Very good here. And they're going to put up a lot of points here. I'm going to take Wake Forest plus 7.5 on the road in a shootout. Next matchup, we got Texas A&M versus Mississippi State. Mississippi State opening up as a 4-point home favorite with the over-under at 45.5. A&M coming into this 3-1, 2-2 covering the spread. Mississippi State 3-1, 2-1-1 covering the spread. A&M coming off that 23-21 win against Arkansas. Mississippi State coming off a 45-14 win against Bowling Green. A&M, 2-4 against Mississippi State, where they have struggled in recent times. This is going to be a battle here. And I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I do like the under 45.5. I could definitely see this being a lower-scoring game here. I like the A&M plus 4 on the road here. Coming off the Arkansas win. I mean, A&M, still big expectations for A&M to finish the season out strong. Back-to-back wins against Arkansas and Miami. Mississippi State hasn't really played anybody good yet. Even though they did lose to LSU, that was their loss. But I don't think LSU's all that amazing. Give me A&M plus 4 on the road. Next matchup, we got Georgia versus Missouri. Georgia opening up as a 29-point home or road favorite with the over-under at 54. Georgia coming into this 4-0, 2-2 covering the spread. Missouri 2-2, 2-2 covering the spread. Georgia coming off a 39-22 win against Kent State. Tough matchup. They really should have blown Kent State out, but Kent State put up some points on Georgia. Missouri coming off that heartbreaking loss against Auburn, one where they fumbled it in overtime to lose the game. Very crazy, to be honest. Yeah, Yeah, I'm looking at Missouri. Two of their starting linemen are out. One of their linebackers, receiver are out. A lot of injuries on the Missouri side today. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 looks like 7 starters are out for Missouri. I do not love to see that. Georgia 8-0 against Missouri, 7-0 covering on the road. Yeah, give me Georgia minus 29 here. Don't like the injuries on the Missouri side. We'll take Georgia minus 29. Next matchup, we got NC State versus Clemson. Clemson opening up as a 7-point home favorite with the over-under at 45. Both teams coming into this 4-0, undefeated. NC State 2-2 covering the spread. Clemson 1-3 covering the spread. Had trouble covering. They've had some tough games this season. We got NC State coming off a 41-10 win against UConn. Clemson coming off that 51-45 win against Wake Forest. Very crazy game for Clemson, coming off a nice win. NC State 0-8 on the road against Clemson. Hasn't made up a win on the road against Clemson. This is going to be their best shot here. We know how good Clemson is at home. And I love to be against the narrative here. I like NC State plus 7.5 on the road here. This is the matchup here. You know, Clemson coming off a tough game. Tough game. They did win here. NC State's got a really good defense and, you know, really good offense. I mean, this is it. 7.5 points. I think it's a great play for NC State. Could be another close / overtime game like last week here. I'll take the points with NC State on the road. Next matchup, we got Arizona State versus USC. USC opening up as a 25.5 point home favorite with the over-under at 60. Arizona State coming into this 1-3. 1-3 covering the spread. USC 4-0. 3-1 covering the spread. Arizona State on a 3-game losing streak. They just have not looked very good this season. USC coming off a tough 17-14 win against Oregon State. Tough matchup, but they did get it done. USC lost to Arizona State last year, 31-16, but a much different USC team this year, much better. And I just don't trust Arizona State. They've looked very bad. Coming off a 13-point game, you know, scored only 21 points as the highest they've scored in their last 3 games. And we know USC is capable of putting up 40, 50 plus. I'm going to take USC minus 25.5 at home. And then the last matchup, we got Stanford versus Oregon. Oregon opening up as a 17-point home favorite with the over-under at 62.5. Stanford coming into this 1-2, 0-3 covering the spread. Oregon 3-1, 2-2 covering the spread. Stanford coming off a 22-40 loss against Washington. Oregon coming off that 44-41 win against Washington State. Crazy win for Oregon here. And yeah, Stanford coming off back-to-back losses against really good teams, and they've struggled against good teams here. And so far this season, they got a tough schedule. Yeah, I just think it's a bad spot for Stanford. I'll take Oregon minus 17 in money line at home. That's going to be it for the video. Good luck with your picks and parlays on Saturday. Hope you guys all cash out, and I'll see you guys Sunday. Have a good one.